everybody. My name is Gabrielle Jordan. I am a young entrepreneur. I started a business when I was 9 years old called Gill Jordan. And now I am 19 and I still own that business. I'm also an author, a speaker, and I co-founded a mentoring institute with my mom called the Excel Youth Mentoring Institute, where we actually partnered with Wellspring Manor to have this incredible event to bring these young people out on the panel and to share this information with you all. Because for me personally, entrepreneurship has been so vital in my life. I definitely wouldn't be where I am without it, and I've learned the things that I learned, especially starting at such a young age. And I think that young people, parents should know, take advantage of that young age, that time to be able to make mistakes and to learn and to absorb and to use your fresh, raw talents and put them to use. I honestly think there's no time like the present, and whether you're 4 years old or 14, start somehow, start learning, start developing, start growing. So again, I just want to welcome everybody again. I want to do a special thanks once again to Miss Lisa, the owner of Wellspring Manors, for being kind of the mastermind behind this event. And let's jump into this. First, before we get everybody introducing themselves and talking about their companies, I want to know who was the youngest person in the room. So I'm going to start at 14. Who's 14? Younger than 14. Younger than 13. Okay. We have 12. Okay. Keep your hands. So as I go down, keep your hands up. 11. Okay. Let's just jump to 9. We have 9. Okay. So everybody hands are down or no? Is hands still up? Yeah. So okay. How old are you? You're 6. How old are you? 6. You're 6. How old are you over here? Someone over here? Or no? Oh, okay, so you have 2 6-year-olds. Oh, that's okay. So I actually want to, because you guys are the youngest people in the room, I want to give you guys 2 free books. You give you a book and you a book, and I want you guys to read it and share it with your family. All right? Because I think entrepreneurship start now, guys. Yeah. So the parents that brought these young people in here, and for all the parents in the room that brought young people in here. Okay, so let's get some energy because we're this is exciting. This is really exciting. So let's start. I want to go through the panel, and I just want you to introduce yourself and tell us about your business and also your age. You don't have to share. You don't want to, but please share your age and when you guys started. So we'll start down here.
Hello, my name is Gabrielle. I'm the owner of What Is Pastries by Gabrielle, which is it's a homemade baking business, and I'm also 15 years old.
My name is Lexi P. I'm 13, and I started my business when I was 11. My business is Curlinistas, and I teach girls self-love, and I also have 3 magical hair care products that just got picked up by Alabi.
I'm Gill. I'm the CEO of Forever Show. So me and my brothers we make scented soy and vegetable wax candles, and also other bath and body products.
So I am Funlayo Alabi, and I am the local business owner here in the Maryland area. We manufacture hair and body care products using shea butter as a key ingredient. And what makes our business really special is that we direct source our raw ingredient directly from villages in West Africa like Ghana and Nigeria, and we look to bring in more women-owned co-ops into our business. Our products can be found in most of the Whole Foods stores and independent natural stores throughout the area. I'm really pleased to be here.
Ages 13? 13? Okay, yeah. So honestly, I started when I was 9. I did my first event when I was 10. So yeah, these are some great ages, man. Okay, so let's jump in. The first question I have for the young entrepreneurs on the panel. So starting a business, it's a challenging thing. Whether you're young or old, starting a business is difficult, but I think there are some challenges that come with being a young entrepreneur as well, some certain setbacks and certain mindset and development, and how do you get a business off the ground when you don't even really know what entrepreneurship maybe even means. So, when you're that young getting started. So I wanted to just ask, what are some of the challenges that you all face when y'all got started in your company, and how did you get through those?
I think the main one was trying to learn how to school, I had to learn how to manage homework. I was doing taekwondo at the time, so it was like other activities. So it was kind of hard trying to do that, and I think trying to find, I guess, like a positive crowd too, that people that supported me for that. That was.
How did you figure, how do you balance your time, and how did you find people that are happy with that?
Usually I would try to get, well, my mom had me do like school first. She always said school came first, so she says if any of the grades drops, then she's stuck in the business. So I had to make sure school was good, and then
definitely managing time, like she said, and one of my first challenges that I faced was sacrificing, like going to one of my friends' parties or like hanging out with my friends. Like my very first event where I did a pop-up shop because I was launching my first book, Curly Girls of Your Curls, and I was 11, and it was my best friend's birthday party, and I was so upset I got to miss it. I was like, Mom, we have to change the date. But my mom was like, in order to be in a business, you have to make sacrifices. So that's probably the first thing. And managing school with a business can be very hard, but yeah, you can do anything. Yeah.
I'm going to come back to sacrifice. I think that's a really good topic that we should discuss. But
So one of the main challenges at first was like finding the resources. So like getting places like to sell your product
yeah.
for like a small period of time.
Yeah. And how did you figure out, how did you kind of source like places to go and sell?
So at first we weren't sourcing no places to go. So we started selling at like our baseball and football games.
Awesome.
And then I think our first vending event was at the NPR.
Cool, very cool. I mean, honestly, that's actually a really good testament to where you can sell and how. When I started selling jewelry, I was 8 years old, and I was selling on a school bus and playground. So you have a product, you have an idea, you can sell it anywhere. So let's go back to that sacrifice part, because I think that's a really good topic, and I think that an adult, an experienced professional, probably knows that sacrifice is just a part of life. Period. But as a young person, maybe you're not really thinking about how much you have to sacrifice in order to get your dreams off the ground. So the question that I want to ask is, you already shared some things that you had to sacrifice, but how did you, at what point did you find like a way to motivate yourself to make the big sacrifices? And what advice would you give to the young people in this room that need to motivate themselves to sacrifice?
So
the important things.
What I did, I was just thinking about the people who look up to me, and my little cousins, I just saw them so happy, and my family and friends that came to the event, I saw how happy they were, and as time went on, I saw how big of an impact I was causing. Like, it's that everyday problem where a girl is getting bullied for her hair or her skin color, and I feel like those two are really important things. And I was just like, my business is very important, and how I motivate myself is just telling myself to keep on going, and just think about all the people I could be helping and inspiring. And of course, my family and friends really do inspire me. So just make sure that you have a positive friend group, and just make sure that your family is always supporting you.
That's an important mindset. I love that, because we do have to start to learn to think outside of ourselves and how we can impact other people. And I think the moment that you start seeing that, it kind of inspires you to keep doing it. So hold on to that. Hold on to that opportunity. I also want to ask Funlayo to tell us about, I'll stay along the lines of sacrifice, but how have you decided what was important enough to sacrifice, or what wasn't important enough to sacrifice, and what was reasonable enough for you to sacrifice, figuring those things out?
Wow, that's a really good question, but I think the young lady who just spoke before this, she kind of nailed everything down, because when it comes to sacrifice, the thing that is really going to make it worthwhile is knowing your why, your purpose. When you begin to see the value that you're adding to other people's lives, and because she's not only doing hair care, but she's empowering young ladies, she can see a direct correlation between what she's doing and the impact it's having. And that's not to say you have to be an activist to really know the value of your sacrifice. Something like candles, you're adding value to people's lives, because when they light the candle, the relaxing impact it has, the ambiance it brings into the home, just knowing what your why is. And I just want to encourage all our young entrepreneurs that, it's great to get into business. Profit definitely is a very strong motivator, and we mustn't lose sight of it. But when you begin to get to the day-to-day moments where you have to decide, do I go to the party, or do I, make products, or do I just veg out and watch TV, or do I make products? Thinking about why and how important it is that you do this business is really going to help you prioritize.
That's a great answer. And then when it comes to why, also just keep in mind that it's not something that you're not going to get it right away. Obviously, it's something that's developed over time, and you, like you said, keep looking for. You keep that in mind and searching for what your why is, the reason why you want to be doing what you're doing, and how you impact people. It's so important. So let's move on to some more some business tips and things, because we have some young people in the room who are entrepreneurs, who want to start businesses, who are just considering it, wherever they stand. Some of the tactical things are really important. So I know we all here are product-based businesses. So I kind of want to ask, how did you kind of, in the development of developing a product, right, and that whole process, what do you do in order to kind of get a product off the ground, the development of, product testing it? What do you do to get it off of the ground? In those beginning stages. Whoever wants to start, go for it.
So when starting my hair care line, I had brought it to my mom, and I was like, this would be a really good idea, because it also ties in with my book of teaching girls how to love their hair, so I can also teach girls how to take care of their hair. And I love watching YouTube and making our own little hair mask at home. And when I would go to events, a lot of people would ask me what I do to my hair, and I'm just like, I'm not so this freaking hair care product. So we went to a manufacturer, and I told them what I wanted. So with making a product, you have to figure out what works and what doesn't. So what I did was I told them what I wanted my product to look like, and what I wanted it to do to hair. And then they gave me different formulas, and I tested on my hair and my different types of fringe hair that have 4C hair and loose or curly hair. So, just really seeing what works and try it on.
Yeah. And I actually want to direct this question to you as well, because your mom has told me that you are a stickler for the detail. Said that in a nice way. But so tell us how that's important to you in developing your products, and the cakes and the cakes in the jar, and then all the sprinkles, everything that you create, and even the way that you represent yourself. What goes into that, to developing a strong product?
For attention to detail, or just I think that helps a lot, because to me the slightest taste could just be no, it's not good. Mm-hmm. The slightest taste, the texture, and then I actually got to one time I made a cake and I didn't like the texture or the icing, so I actually threw it away and restarted it, but I actually ended up getting a better cake. Mm-hmm. So just certain small details that helps me in the long run. Yeah. And just representing the business.
It's a great answer. I think that is really important, keeping your eye on the little things. I think the smallest things do really kind of make the whole thing, right? So I think that's really great. Attention to detail.
So I think figuring out what your customer wants, for the candle, what kind of mood they want, or kind of scent they want.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, solving a problem is a good place to start. So, for example, my business started in the kitchen because my kids had eczema, and all the doctors' prescriptions would work for a while, and then they would stop working. So I started from a place of, wow, we created this thing that really helps dry skin, and we're like, okay, well, let's see if anyone will pay us for it. So, the only way if you have a business is if someone is going to pay you, even if it's 50 cents, you're selling it on the school bus or at baseball games. Yeah. And so taking the solution you've created and finding your customer, and then getting them to test it like she did, and then getting them to pay for it. Yeah, getting to the point that you're no longer giving it away, but people are paying you for it.
And that actually leads me to the next question. And it's, again, young people in the room, and I'm pretty sure that sales and the idea of talking to people, unless you're an extrovert, may not be the most exciting thing, having to pitch yourself and pitch your product and also get what you're worth. So anybody else, take two people to answer this question regarding what do you like some tips for selling and also understanding your worth as an entrepreneur and the worth of your product? Who wants to take on that one?
I'll take a stab at it and then I'll let everyone do. So in terms of selling, I think just sharing is a great idea. Hopefully you're creating something that you really like. So it should be easy to say, you know what, I'm doing this to my hair, or I'm using these candles, you should try it too. So just coming from a place of you have something really great and you want to share it with people, knowing at the back of your mind that my goal is not to extract cash from someone. My goal is to share something I really like for them, and if they like it, they'll pay me. In terms of knowing your worth and value, that's also just like discovering your why, is a bit of an evolutionary process. You have to check prices in the marketplace, see how much people are willing to pay, figuring your cost. Just because it costs you $1 to make doesn't mean that you should sell it for $1 or even $2. Yes, you might need to sell it for $10 because at some point you want to go into Sally's and everybody's going to want their commission and everything else. So, and that's where you can get, an adult to kind of help you with the pricing.
And just to kind of keep it in simpler terms as well, just, when it comes to selling a product, you want to make more than you spend, right? And hopefully you break even in certain situations, which means that you match the amount that you spend. But you want to be able to make more than you spend. So in the sales, and all of that, you want to be able to pitch your worth and make sure people understand how much you're worth, how much your product is worth. That includes time and energy, along with the cost of materials and all of that. Does anybody else want to take on that question? Or
I would say with selling, a big thing that really got me out there was just going to different events and talking to people and letting people know about me. And I feel like today we have such an advantage because we have social media. We can connect people from all around the world. So I really would just say connecting through social media and going to a lot of events really helps too.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Okay, so let's talk about help, support, getting things off the ground, and how do we do that? For me, mentorship has been so vital for the growth of my company and where I am. And so I hope that a lot of young people are going for, to get mentors, adults even getting mentors. That's why I started Excel Youth Mentoring Institute. I wanted to, create a place that young people could find mentors, could get educational resources, all of that. So I actually wanted to ask, how has mentorship affected you at all? I mean, Gabrielle is a mentee of mine. I've worked with Collin before as a mentee. So I just want to know kind of how mentorship is important to you, and also if you mentor other young people and help them, teach them, be role models to them as well. So.
Well, first, when I first met you, you actually inspired me to start my business. You were the first, youth entrepreneur I've ever seen, really. There wasn't a lot of youth entrepreneurs like us that I've seen. So when I met you, and I was like, wow, it's someone that's my age or about my age, they're selling a product. So seeing that just kind of inspired me, and that's when I eventually, started the business. But then also other people, I try to help other people if I can, if I know how to do it. And sometimes we just help each other.
Yeah.
If there's a certain thing that I know that they don't know, or they know but I don't know.
And that's a really good point that you made, because Gabrielle has, she's catered a couple of my events before, and she's, I think one of the biggest things that I've at least learned from her, and what I also teach other my mentees, is how important it is to be as active in the mentor, with the mentor as the mentor is with you, because the mentor is there to help you and support you, and you don't want to, just drain. You want to be able to give and share as well, and be the one to reach out, of course, with parents and, permission and all of that, but be the one to reach out and say, hey, can, my mom and I go, get lunch with you, and you can pick your brain or whatever, but, they're there to support you, but you have to reach out on them. You have to tap on their shoulder, so that's really important. And being able to, help each other, I think that's really important. Awesome. Anybody else want to address mentorship?
It's good to have a mentor, especially someone as her. I had Judy. Anybody know Miracle Drops? No.
What is it?
Miracle Drops is a famous. It's like in a blue bottle, and it's drops that you can put in your hair to help grow.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay.
Yeah. She helped me for a while, and Yeah, just having a mentor will really help you because they can really tell you like what strategies to use to help get your audience. And I've actually mentored a couple of people too as well.
Awesome. Okay, so before you get started in business, I'm sure there are things that maybe you wish you knew or that as you got going you learned and maybe you think that other people should know about it too. So what's one thing, I want all of you guys to answer it, what's one thing that you think a young person should know before starting a business? Who wants to start?
I would say you're not gonna have a lot of time. You're gonna have time hanging out with your friends, but you're gonna have to sacrifice some of that time on your business and how making the products, talking to people, getting resources and everything.
And I think it's a valid point. It might sound like, now I'm not gonna be able to hang out with my friends, but you also take in mind that this is something that, if you're starting it, that's something that you care about, right? That you're reaching people or that you're selling or, you enjoy creating this product or doing this service. So, it's a give and take and it's beneficial to you and to other people to sacrifice. But also, even with that, making sure that you balance and, you're not giving away too much of your time to the work, that you're also taking time for yourself as well. But yeah, really good point.
One thing I wish I had realized, because I was working in the IT world before I, transitioned into being an entrepreneur, was I wish I had known how long it would take and how much I had to learn and how humble I had to be and continually have to be to admit the things I don't know so I can learn. So I would say being an entrepreneur is really like being a forever student. And it typically takes a little longer than you think to get to where you think you want to be. So just be prepared. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. But it's fun.
And enjoy the experience, yeah, for sure. Okay.
One thing, definitely, like you said, sacrificing.
You're good. You already shared some really good stuff anyway. Yeah.
I would say surrounding yourself with positive people, people that will support you. Because I did have to get rid of some people that I thought were friends because they were saying that pretty much I wouldn't make it. So I ended up having to find new friends that actually would support me and even help me with certain things. I do agree with sacrificing. You may have to sacrifice something. You may not be able to go to every dance or every party.
I would like you actually to talk a little bit on your experience with bullying and everything and how that both affected the growth and the start of the business, but also where you are now and the growth that you had through being able to push through it. Because I feel like for me, when I started my business, I was bullied a lot, and I had to get through that. So I want you just to talk about your experience and how you were able to push through that as well.
Being bullied, it kind of brought my self-esteem down, made me really anxious. At one point, it made me depressed. So it made me struggle to start the business because people saying, "Oh, you're not gonna make it," that kind of brought my confidence down even more. So then when I told my mom, she kind of helped me talk to my family. They kind of helped me too. And then when I finally surrounded myself with positive people, they kind of brought up my confidence, my self-esteem. So that kind of helped too. Yeah. And I guess surround yourself by positive people.
If anybody else has had an experience with I call them dream killers, people that kind of try and deter you from believing in your dreams and all of that. If you guys have had any of those experiences, and how did you get through them, especially when it first started and it kind of maybe caught you off guard? If you had any of those, anybody? Well, I'll just say mine then. For me, when I started the business, I was 9, and it wasn't until I got into middle school, 6th grade, that first people were they wanted to be my friends and they wanted to hang out with me and whatever. And then they started asking for free things. They started asking for money. And when I said no to them, they just kind of turned around on me. And everybody had something to say, and it was normally negative, and saying that I couldn't make it, or that my work was ugly, or that I would fail, or whatever it was. And for a while, it did get to me, and it had really impacted my belief and my confidence in the work that I was doing. And I will say, bullying and allowing those things to infiltrate you and to hurt you, it's easy to let that happen, and you shouldn't be upset with yourself when that does happen, but what you need to be able to do is just focus, face those things that people are saying, and be able to discount them, be able to realize that those words are not true, that you are full of potential, that you are full of so much potential and so much capabilities, and you have to focus on the things that you can do, the things that you have done, and people that you've impacted, and hopefully that can help you to stay confident, and that can help you to realize how much you're worth, how much value you can add into this world. Just always focus on that. Focus on the value. Focus on what you can add instead of what people are trying to take away from you. But I just thought that was something important to talk about, just because people will say things, and we can't continue to let them impact how we feel about ourselves.
And Jordan, if I may add one more thing. As you're going through this journey and you're getting those attacks, because you're light, you're doing something that a lot of people are afraid to do. You've taken a chance and you're putting yourself out there. One of the other things I strongly recommend is reading, finding really good books or inspirational teachings. You can find it on YouTube, and just feed yourself, because those attacks will come because you're doing something amazing. And I have to say, I am just so impressed and amazed at all of you up here on this panel. So yes, reading is definitely something, because you're actually feeding yourself and diluting all the negativity that comes in just in the course of wanting to be your own unique self and doing great things in the world.
I agree that my mom had us listening to Success Magazine on DVD when we were in the car. We barely even listened to the radio growing up because that's what we heard.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely feeding. I want to talk to Collin specifically because I relate to you and your brand because for me, when I started, I was selling, and I am selling to adults. And my brand, I knew when we were developing the company, the jewelry company, we had to figure out a way to market to adults with me being a kid and them to respect the brand and what I was creating. And so I really appreciate the style of your brand and the marketing material and the way that you present the company. And so I just wanted you to talk about, how you developed your brand and how you guys kind of came up with this style and how you've, worked to create a respectable brand, yeah.
So we did a lot of researching and seeing what the modern styles candles are in. So our mom helped us a lot with that. So we figured out who to sell to and which buyer is kind of the most, which one would buy the most.
Yeah. Awesome. And I think that for young people here that maybe are considering starting a business and maybe you want to be selling to adults or to an older crowd, just don't think that you have to sell to kids just because you're a kid. Maybe if your product has value, right? Your product is fine-tuned, that you're taking care of all those little details, and anybody can see the value within it as long as you're representing it. So don't think you have to limit yourself to your age. I mean, you're here, right? That's what this whole thing is about. It's about young entrepreneurship and not limiting yourself. So, you really can. So, awesome. So before we finish out, before I do my final question, I wanted to open up the floor and see if you guys, if any young people, any parents, had any questions that you wanted to ask young people here. Any questions at all about entrepreneurship? I'm here.
For all the panelists up there, the young people in particular, all of you have had national and local recognition and success. For the young people that are in here, how would you tell them to handle that? Because it only takes one moment before you're in the spotlight. So can you share some advice to them if that one moment comes to them, how to handle the cameras in their face?
That's a good one.
I would say just stay humble. Recently I went to BeautyCon and I got to meet amazing wonderful people. I got to meet Megan Thee Stallion, Kaylani, and I had got a lot of attention that week, and my friends would text me nonstop asking me questions about the people I was meeting. So I would just say stay humble and also stay true to yourself, because I know a lot of people who have made it and they won't help you. I have a friend and she is popping, but now that she's up there, you still want to help your friends as well. Don't just be selfish and not tell any events that you're going to or anything. So I would just say still be yourself and stay true to yourself.
I would say for national So it was just, it was 100 people that made it, and so it was a bunch of entrepreneurs and just people that were just really successful. So just seeing that was amazing. I would also recommend anyone who's about to go to high school, they would do that. But just going there, it was such an experience, just meeting people, especially people that are in, I would say, like the industry that you're in, because they give you some tips. So I'll just recommend both that, and I think that's what I was about to say.
That's really good. Do we anything, Chef?
I would think, like, be confident, don't be afraid of what people are gonna say. Me and my brothers was recently on Good Morning America, and we got a lot of orders in, and people were like kind of emailing us like, when are we gonna get our order out? And like we have to respond to them like in a nice way.
Yeah.
And just be confident and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of people.
They've said it all.
So I think we're about running out of time here. So I just want to end with just one more question.
Actually, Gabrielle, let's take some more questions.
Okay, yeah, awesome. Okay, does anybody else have any questions?
So, like, just a quick question. With all the bullying and stuff like that, have any of you guys been to the point where you felt like, that nobody was supporting you, even with the people that you trusted most?
I would say I have, and I have felt that way. Like, I think it started in like 3rd grade when it happened. That really, I was pretty much in like a dark place where I actually thought that my life wasn't worth it at one point. But just eventually I started meeting like people, and just they just kind of inspired me to, they just started inspiring me, and this kind of helped my confidence and all that stuff. So
I mean, I think that like something that's helped me, because I think I relate to that place that like, and I think that especially when you're doing something that's different, or even when you feel different, you often feel like nobody else can really understand that or relate to that, and obviously people will say things and it kind of almost feels like it confirms those things. But I would say one of the things that's helped me has been challenging the criticism and challenging the questioning and challenging the things that people are saying. And for yourself, or it doesn't necessarily have to be to their face, but it can be just for yourself. Like if someone says something about you, ask yourself, is that true? Really question it for yourself and answer it for yourself, because we let those things fester. You let those things just sit, and they kind of grow in you. But we have to take those things from the root, pull them out, and question and challenge that, and recognize a lot of those things people say they don't know, and it's most of the time false. So. But yeah, I think Gabrielle has an incredible journey, and I think you should definitely, like any young people, be dealing with bullying. She works in the community, and she continues to talk about like her story and how to get over, through bullying. So definitely talk to her before this event's up and get her information and check out her book. But yeah, because she has an incredible story about that. So yeah.
I have a question. So first 1 to 2 years sometimes can be challenging,
Right.
like super challenging when you're starting a business. And what were some of the lessons learned that, and then I'll ask you as a business owner, what were some lessons learned that gave you that extra drive to continue to see your business be successful?
I think that question has been something that's kind of been answered throughout here, specifically holding on to your why. And I think if you don't know your why, then you should be, through that time specifically, you should be searching for that why, and figuring out, every place that you go, every person that you're meeting, every person that you're talking to, what do they pull from you? What seems to connect with them? What seems to reach with them with their, how do people interact with your products or your service? Connecting to those things, because, in the first few years, you don't get a whole lot of sales, and you're not making, a huge amount of profit. I think when you're younger, actually, when you start a business at a young age, people do really attract to you, which is great. But especially at that time, just keep searching for that why, and searching why you're doing what you're doing and how you connect with people. Because in any slow period that you reach within your business, because it just happens on and off, there are those slow moments and those times where it feels like, it's not gonna, work out. You have to remember what you're doing, you know, why you're doing it, what's important to people, you know, what's important, what's reaching people, and connecting, continuing to make sure that that's at the forefront of your company, and making sure that that's continuing to connect with them. Do you guys have any answers for that specific question?
Really don't give up on yourself, and always remember when a door closes, another one opens.
Amen.
I had an opportunity to be on a TV show, and it was like Shark Tank for kids. And then like at the very last one, we were like, oh, we don't want you anymore. We found somebody else. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was so sad, and I was like, I don't want to do my business anymore, and all this other stuff. And my mom was just like, keep on going, just because that's their miss out, like they're missing out, that's their fault. And not even a week later, Instagram had contacted me, and I did a photo shoot with them, and I'm part of their confidence code. And just know that, like, just don't ever stop. 1,000 no's doesn't mean somebody else won't say yes.
Because also, like, even with that, like, your mom was so important for you. I think you have to find people in your life that can be honest with you.
How did you tackle sponsorship?
Specifically, what are you talking about with funding the business?
Funding your business, yeah.
Do you want to start?
It'd be nice to hear kids' perspective, because as an adult, you know, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
You say the question again.
They was asking you about funding, how you got funding for the business to get started, sponsorship.
Funding for the business. So I would say, well, you can reach out to your family and see if they will help, and friends and family.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I can't really say for anybody else, but that's what most that's what you can likely best thing you could do.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody else?
When I first started, even really now, my mom, she kind of funds, she pays books. There have been times when like investors came up and they tried to, you know, invest in a business, but my mom said no, because, you know, investors, they're trying to keep their money too. So my mom wanted to kind of build my money first, and then eventually when I get to a certain point, to go, you know, take on investors.
Smart.
Good advice, Mom.
Also, go to events. Events really help, or just go to like places like these, even if you're not a vendor. Connecting with people can really help too, and just go to different places where you can talk to people. Social media is really good. Friends and family does really help. I was kind of stuck in that question because my mom helps really much.
And I'll just quickly add too, start small. Like, you don't have to, you know, have a manufacturing facility and, you know, in order to operate a company. But I just, like, for me, like, when I started Excel, it started with just like videos that I produced and, like, you know, put them on my website and on YouTube, and from then it grew on to, you know, really being like an institute for mentoring young people and having events and things like that. So, you know, you don't have to jump into, you know, really investing a whole lot of money. Start with what you can, and then, you know, as you start making sales, start seeing the potential of it, then you can look outside, like when we had an event, we had a gala, I put together sponsorship packages and things like that and pitch them to sponsors to be able to invest in the event, or to, you know, put grants and things into the event. But, you know, yeah, start small. You don't have to put everything into it. We have a question over here.
What were you working up to when you started your business?
So like the dreams and the goals and things like that. All right, who wants to start? Anybody had any goals when they got started in the business? I mean, maybe what they wanted to become?
My goal was to help other young girls who would do the same thing as me with bullying and growing up not seeing that many black girls representing the national hair. So my main goal going into my business was just helping other girls, because I also have another book that teaches girls how to love their skin color, but just really helping girls find who they are and just embracing their natural self. Because I know society and social media can be a really big impact nowadays. So just really being who you are.
showing that even though you've been bullied, don't let that define who you are, or don't let that take over pretty much. For baking, I would say like a goal, just because I want to become a celebrity pastry chef. So one thing, like I bake for like some celebrities, so that's and start there. Start small kind.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I like how you guys' goals, for certain parts of their businesses that you were focused on, other people, like how you could help other people. I mean, that's really great. Going back to like why and everything, you start that company. Obviously, you start with you want to sell and to make money, but as you grow, you can kind of see how you can continue to help people and you can reach them or support them in however they need to be supported. So it's really great. It's a great mindset to have.
Can you share with, first of all, I'm very proud of all of you. I'm proud to be a woman of color sitting right here today. I'm just absorbing all of this in, and I'm thinking about our 3 children who said they wanted to, have a career in marketing and management. I'm like, what are you doing then? All the time, they're in their 20s. Like, what are you doing here? But can you share with us? A lot of people, including mostly adults, who second guess themselves. Mm-hmm. Can you share with us what that looks like? What does that feel like when you got that moment? What was that moment for you? Because we think it's a whole lot, or we dismiss it like that ain't gonna work. How did you where were you? What were you thinking when you said, "Aha, I can do that. I want to do this." Mom, I want to make hair products. Mom, I want to bake cakes, or what was that? What does that look like?
We're going to start with Funlayo if you want.
So as a very, very mature adult that started my business 10 years ago, I realized that I would hate 5 or 10 years from now, I'd be walking through a store or going somewhere, and the idea that I had that I was so afraid to execute on, someone else was doing it. And I was like, you know what? It's better to start now and just fail horribly. I know that at least I gave it a try, it didn't work, than to see it being done in the future. So that was my nightmare. And that's what motivated me to move on. So
I like the way of saying that, like your nightmare. Like I think it's good. We should all have our dreams. We have our nightmares.
Exactly.
So we try to avoid the nightmares.
Exactly.
That's really cool. Anybody else want to touch on that question, Collin?
What made you say, I want to make candles? Where were you? What were you thinking?
We were thinking
how did you get the idea?
to buy stuff. And then after that, we were thinking how we can become big. So our first main goal was to get in stores. So our first store was Shop Made in DC. Then we set another higher goal to be able to get out of the state. So and then we completed that goal, and now our goal is to have we're working on a project called a candle truck. How we can go across the country selling candles and provide jobs for homeless people too.
Oh, awesome!
Good idea.
That's really. I just keep going back. That's just so wonderful. Continue thinking about how you can reach other people, and again, it's something that was established over time. Thinking outward over time. You started with what you saw you could become, and then you started reaching out. Now you're thinking outward. I just love that process. That's really wonderful. Do you have any more questions? You're a young person. Then we'll go over here.
I say, what is the best or most successful way of advertising your product? Through social media, really connecting with your friends and saying, hey, can you repost this? Or have a new hair product that's coming out. Can you please tell your friends about it or post it on here? So social media is really good.
Like social media, another effective way could be networking, or a Facebook. There's actually a group for pretty much kidpreneurs. So even small things like those can help advertise.
Take advantage of the Chamber of Commerce email that's going to come out, because that's a great opportunity to network. Even we possibly get funding and things like that. You don't know who you're going to meet in those rooms, so definitely take advantage of those opportunities to network, like I said.
So I would say the same thing, networking, and also reaching out to people. You never know what they're going to say.
Great. All right. So we just finished up with time. Do you want to do a see one more question. I see.
No, that's it.
No? I mean, you're the husband of the.
Let him have a question.
Amazing. I'm so glad you guys came and you shared a lot of information. My question for each of the young panelists is, what business person or what person most inspired you that really helps you channel your energy into becoming an entrepreneur? Whether it's a business person or anyone.
Say Gabrielle George.
Is that question answered before I came in the room?
No, it's a good question.
Okay, yeah. Who inspired you? Besides your mother and your father.
I guess Beyonce, because Beyonce, seeing how hard she works and she does movies and she has books and all different types of things. So just seeing her work, seeing her do it, that means I can do it too. And yeah, I guess her.
Okay, it's hard because, like, again, I grew up with a lot of, like, always hearing TVs of different people that started businesses and growing and things. But I guess I'll just go the cliche answer and do Oprah Winfrey.
So I really didn't look at anybody else except for my mom, because she was like, she kind of works hard for us every single day for us.
You have an answer?
Oh, I was actually going to throw out one of my favorite podcasts that I like to listen to and get inspired by. It's How I Built This by Gabrielle. So that's what I have in when I do my mommy carpool thing. All the kids in my van have to listen to stuff like that. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Gabrielle.